All right, RJ. So we kick off another ECH post-game live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. This one was kind of a tough one. Uh Kraken finishing up this 4-game road trip, going into Carolina. This was the one that all along I felt like was going to give us the most problems. Just felt like the toughest matchup. I was pretty optimistic about them handling the Florida teams, them potentially being able to handle Washington. This was always the one that I was like, this one seems like, could be a little bit of a problem. And sure enough, it was. The score, deceptively close, I think, a little bit
Mhm.
in this one, as the Kraken just struggled to get they just struggled to get shots off. They struggled to get offensive zone time. They really just struggled with the entire concept of offense tonight.
Right. I mean, they struggled to even get possession of the puck at a lot of times
Hmm.
during this game. I can't think offhand of a period, maybe back to that Vegas game earlier in the season, where the Kraken were so thoroughly dominated over a 20-minute stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, they just could not get the puck in the first period. The Hurricanes came out and did exactly what they try to do to teams. The Kraken had no time with the puck. They were unable to take it away from the Canes, and they were lucky out of that period 2-0. Now, I let's look at the positives
Yeah.
because this game confirmed, as much as any game the Kraken have played, that this team just does not go away
Right.
at all.
Yep.
And that's the reason that they were within, maybe a bounce in the final minute of tying the game.
Hmm.
And you never know when those can come. But man, you don't deserve to win games where you play like that for the first 30 minutes. And the Kraken, I think, know that.
Yeah, exactly. And that never say die attitude, that not going away, that tenacity that the Kraken have had all season. I felt like three players really exemplified that tonight. Um, Matty Beniers, kind of always in that conversation. This is just a guy who clearly wants to win so bad. Made that fantastic move to get around Victor Fost, I think it was, and come in.
Jesper.
Yes, Fast, thank you. And and he, just outside of Brent Burns just being gigantic and being able to get a stick over there because he's so tall and all of that, Matty Beniers could have had a total highlight reel moment there. But love the never quit attitude from Matty Beniers, as we see it every game. Daniel Sprong is another one, and this speaks to the Kraken's depth, right? I'm going to be talking about someone in the top six, someone in the bottom six. Daniel Sprong, when the Kraken need offense, Daniel Sprong tends to be the guy on the spot for them who's able to generate that. And tonight generates it with the goal, yes, but also just tying for the team lead in shots on goal with only two. Generally, you'd like
Yep.
to see that number a little higher than that. But he was at least out there really trying to get offense going, trying to be a spark for this team. And I thought that's a story for this game. And then, of course, Philip Grubauer, because the Kraken have zero shot at this game if Philip Grubauer doesn't play maybe his best game of the season. If you really start breaking it down and looking at the saves he was making, the chances he was stopping, the rebounds he was controlling, the second chance effort from the Carolina Hurricanes that he was able to shut down, like Philip Grubauer was lights out tonight. He just got again, stop me if you've heard this before, zero support from the team in front of him. And it's starting to become a worrying trend, at least for this road trip, that this is the narrative that we keep having to talk about on these post games.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing I'm sure the Kraken would really like to do away with, that Philip Grubauer would really like to do away with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and this was a tough start for him too. He was not supposed to be the starting goalie going
Yeah.
into the game. This is the first time I believe in the Kraken's history, because I've been covering the team from the
Right.
start, that Dave Haxtell has said there was a planned starter in the morning, and he always does, and
Mm-hmm.
then the different goalie ends up starting the game. So something must have happened there. Dave's not one to try and mess with us on stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say about that after the game. But Grubauer already kind of pushed into this spot start here,
Mm-hmm.
and thankfully he just happened to be in the condition to play out of his mind, because the
Yeah.
Kraken needed every bit of that.
Yeah. And it's just, oh man, they asked a lot of him in this one. You look at the goals that were scored, turnover, just let a super skilled goal scorer walk right in on him. There, the Derek Stepan one, again, also just a rough situation to throw your goaltender into. And then, of course, can you stop this penalty shot for us too? It's like, oh man. But anytime, you allow 3 goals, but you walk out of the building with a .923 save percentage, it means you did a lot of work that night. And Philip Grubauer certainly did, setting a franchise or a record for himself as a Kraken, I believe they said, with 36 saves. All right, let's hop over into chat, and then we can start getting more into breaking some stuff down. But I want to get over here into
Did they say that's a record? I don't think that's correct.
That's what they said on postgame. They said it was a record for most saves for him as a Kraken.
I thought he made 38 in one point last season against the Lightning. But anyway, I'm not going to
take it up with the Root Sports broadcasting team. Maybe they meant this season.
Yeah, that would probably be it.
That would be more sense. Yeah. Let's see. Tammy, I'm back. Had to work the last 3. There was a lot of yelling at the TV tonight. Love that we never gave up. Gru kept us in it. Shoot more, boys. Welcome back, Tammy. Glad to have you back with us here for these post-game lives. Yeah, just you gotta get shots off. I mean, we've always made the joke, right, with Lil Jon shots. But you cannot score if you don't shoot the puck. And there was a lot of times tonight, whether it was Alexander Wenberg, when he's, he gets that tip and then he collects the rebound and then he spins around and he tries to find someone else in the crease rather than trying to get a shot off, or Matty Beniers a couple times trying to make a quick little seam pass to somebody and it's just not really there, or other guys tonight trying to get passes over to him. Yeah, Sprong tried it at one point. Just shoot the puck, guys. Like if you've got somebody streaking down the middle, you don't have to hit him with the pass. Shoot. Let him get the rebound. He's coming in with speed, momentum. He's facing the right direction. The defender's not the defender's facing with his back to the goaltender. He's not in a position to pick up that rebound. It's not, I don't know, just, pass off the pads, right? Go back to that old thing. Just do something to help actually try to generate offense. Because when you miss a pass, more times than not, it seems like with this team anyway, you end up just creating a turnover for yourself. It's a giveaway because the other team's able to collect the puck and start moving back against you, and you just leave the offensive zone with 0 chances generated. And it's a problem for them right now.
Yeah. Question for you, Dylan. Do you think the fact that the opposing goalie was coming off of 2 straight shutouts maybe got in their head a little bit?
I don't think so. I mean, it's always possible. Right? And this doesn't seem like the kind of team that would let something like that get into their head. Instead, I feel like a lot of these guys would take that as a challenge, let's go out there and let's score on this guy. Let's show them that this league isn't that easy, kind of thing. That's always how it seems like in the past they've approached situations like that. But yeah, it's just. You gotta generate offense, and it's never just going to come to you in the NHL. You have to try to create it for yourself, and I just don't feel like the Kraken are doing a very good job of that right now. Waltz, Grubauer is incredibly good, and that was a winnable game. Wish we got fired up sooner. Agreed. I mean, 4 shots in the first period. Go into the third period with only 11. Like I said, RJ, just get them going.
Not gonna cut it. Yeah.
Gruby deserved better. I love him from Absurdly Sane there. Absolutely. Michael, what an absolutely pathetic road trip. No legs. Looked like a different team out there. Rough. Yeah, it was a rough road trip. I certainly thought that the Kraken, based on the way that they had been playing for a long stretch beforehand, that they were going to be better set up to handle this. I do wonder if you don't have that Alexiak situation, you don't have the Justin Schultz situation, if that kind of changes the trajectory for the road trip as a whole.
Yeah, I think it might. And of course, just playing down 2 defensemen is going to hurt any team. But I think it just messes with the Kraken's rhythm, their ability to feel like they can confidently go out there and roll 4 lines, 3D pairs, because this was a team that did so well because of their depth. And if you're missing some of that, it can throw things off. Maybe not enough to mess you up for a whole game, but you look at outside the Florida game, it's been a little while since they put a really full 60-minute effort in.
Yeah. And so is it, the worst thing in the world for the Kraken? No. Standings wise, they're able to survive this rough road trip. It does, though, mean that this upcoming little bit at home becomes that much more important because, we all know their kind of struggles. They're just above 500 at home. It's been an issue for them so far this season, much more so than being on the road. Gotta show up. Gotta try to get 2 points against the Jets here. Try to right the ship. Got to take advantage of being able to get a practice in, right? Like these are things
Yes.
that they haven't been able to do while out on this road trip. Gotta try to find that spark again, just to get everybody going, get everybody back on that same page, because that's been a problem for the unit as a whole here. Let's see, Brian, another missed opportunity. Grew round up with the 923 save percentage. Tough result. Absolutely. Joey, poor road trip. Walt, we need to shoot the puck so much more. It's absurd. Such a passy pass team. I mean, what's your solution to that, RJ? Do you have one?
I mean, it really is as simple as just shoot the puck more. I mean, they were doing it later. You look at Daniel Sprong just walk into the zone, taking a shot from the wing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a shot that you think is going to score necessarily, but every so often it does. And that's why I was asking you about whether the goalie's previous couple shutouts in a row maybe got in their head a little bit, because maybe you think, okay, well, there's zero, the way this guy's playing, there's zero chance that's going in. Let's try and find something better. But it doesn't hurt to just throw those pucks on net, and they're putting themselves in positions to do it. It really is as simple as just pulling the trigger.
Yeah, you just got to shoot more. I will say this about Carolina, right? Carolina is an exceptionally good, they're exceptionally good at, well, defense for one. Just look at the 6 defenders they have out there tonight. The fact that you can just off the top of your head from an entire cross country know exactly who they're putting out there is pretty remarkable. But even their forwards as well. Like, this is a system team, right? And that was very evident tonight watching this Carolina team. They outplayed the Kraken solidly for 2 full periods, and they never really ran away with the game. And to me, that signals where Carolina's at kind of this year, where they play a totally structured and completely sound hockey game each and every game, but they maybe don't have the personnel to really take advantage of that, or throw up a massive score. Certainly, at least not right now with injuries and stuff that they have going on. You look at, Paul Stasny led their team in ice time amongst forwards. He has 7 points on the season. You know what I mean? Right? Like,
Yeah.
they're a team that they have some good skill guys, but a lot of it is just, these are all smart hockey players. They know exactly what Rob Brindamore wants them to do out there. And that system, that structure, is one that is going to win them a lot of hockey games. And so I feel like that's partly what allowed the Kraken to get back into this one, was just because, it was partly Grubauer played really well, partly because Carolina doesn't have that ability to totally just blow a team out of the water, even when they have those chances available to them. But I just think part of that structure is, we're going to play super sound defensively. We're going to make whatever goaltender we have in this crease look phenomenal. And that's what they've done now for years, right? The entire time, basically, under Rob Brindamore, they've made everybody look unbeatable. So I just feel like that's one of those things you just have to know going into Carolina, or having Carolina come into your own barn. You just have to know, look, they're going to play super structurally sound. We just need to be able to take advantage of the mistakes that they're going to make, or try to push them to their limits, try to force them into situations where they're going to have to make mistakes. And I just felt like the Kraken didn't really do a good job of that. And maybe that's just because it's the last game on a road trip.
Yeah, and also I'd add, not make mistakes of your own, and
Well,
that's. But I mean, the kind of ones like that handed the Canes their first goal tonight,
mm-hmm.
because they can possess the puck for almost an entire period, but they will be cycling it around the outside of your zone. They're not going to really make a lot of inroads to the middle of the net, or anything too dangerous into the crease. That's why this is not a one-off. You'll see goalies have performances like Philip Grubauer did tonight, where you've got 35, 40 save performances against the Canes. I think part of that is because of the way that they play. As long as you can keep away from those chances, like the Svechnikov one, where he's able to walk down the middle, or giving up a penalty shot, something like that, you should be able to do all right, and your goalie should have a manageable game. But that's just another key.
Yeah, and that whole one that led to that Svechnikov goal frustrates me so much, because we've talked forever, right? That basically the entire time the Kraken have been playing hockey games, about transitions and about zone entries, right? And here's this example of the Kraken get it out of their zone. This is the time to be pushing and moving up ice. And what happens instead? Player in the neutral zone turns around and makes a pass back into the Kraken zone. Why are you moving backwards there? There is zero need to move backwards. You don't, as far as I know, there wasn't a line change because there was like 4 Kraken still just like
No, I mean
all kind of
he's
hanging
trying to
around
hit
there.
the player coming with speed, and turns out there were 2 guys in the same spot, and one of them thought it was coming to him, and then they flub it, and but still, I mean it's about having your zone exits like down to more of a science than that.
Right. And again, maybe, we've seen them try to work with speed. We've also seen them hit the guy with speed, and then that player just passes it once he gets close to entering the zone anyway. Like, I just don't feel like they've ever had that figured out. I still don't know exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing. Play by play, it's the one part of the Kraken's game that I still feel like there is no set, like, if A is open, you go here. If not, then you go with option B. Like, it just never feels like like everybody is there together on it. And I just wish, just go dump in the puck, just try to do something, because in games like this, when you're struggling to get anything going offensively, you can't be playing backwards. And I know a lot of teams in the NHL do it, but it drives me nuts, and it's driven me nuts all along. I don't know. It's frustrating, especially when it leads to opportunities like that. Couple super chats here, though. Got one from Tammy here. Afro Therapy Dog Treats. Definitely make that one happen. And then also super chat here from Duthin. Shout out for not giving up. Even though we didn't get points, I'm glad they're coming home. For sure. It's going to be fun to have them back in Seattle.
Definitely. I've missed that quite a bit, especially being laid up sick for a lot of this road trip. I am eager to just get back to, feeling better, covering the team at home. And there's so much more I need to know about Mario Kart, about losing the face-off battles, about all this stuff that I want to ask. So
I know the trend didn't hold. We lost the face-off battle tonight. I guess when you lose the shots on goal battle by such a large margin, it's just a little too much to overcome.
I think this one wasn't so much a matter of losing the face-off battle; it was just the losing the everything battle.
Yeah, they just lost the battle. Period. That was it. All right, let's see here. Let me try to find out. Gruby, this is from Michael. Gruby was great. Another game where everyone else on the team lets him down. Need to get these guys some rest and hopefully get their legs back. I do think having an extra day off here will help them out a lot. Traveling back, getting a practice in. I think that helps with the mental fatigue side of things. Talked about that last time. I think anytime you can get that routine of getting a practice in and going through those motions, particularly at home, I think it helps with that.
For sure. It's a perfect mental reset while getting your body physically ready for the game the next day.
Yeah. All right. So we get the
there she is.
Afro treats in here. There you go.
Yep,
Fun fact. Yes. Fun fact. Seattle just lost to Carolina-based teams 2 times this week from Krakenhawk there. Yeah, it hasn't been a great week for us dealing with the Carolinas, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Seahawks also playing Carolina team, also playing a team called the Panthers.
Yep. It's been a rough one. Joey, I don't understand why we're trying to be cute and not shoot. It's frustrating them trying for that one extra pass, which is always deflected. I agree. And like I said, it's either deflected or you just miss the connection, and now it's just loose off in the offensive zone. It's one we've talked a lot about it, structurally, defensively, about just simplifying things, getting back to your roots, head on a swivel, all that kind of stuff. I think they're kind of needing that same philosophy to be added to the offense now, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Like I said earlier, it's as simple as just letting it rip.
Yep. At least we scored more goals than the last 2 teams to play Carolina combined. Tammy, that is definitely true.
No shout out for Kochetkov.
Michael, feels like zero urgency last 2 games, none whatsoever on the defensive or offensive side. I agree with that one too. It feels very much like the team has kind of been coasting here a little bit almost.
Yeah, I think so. In tonight's game, I would say it's just too little too late. There was some urgency there toward the end, but at that point, there's very little you can do.
Yeah, it's been rough. Fingers crossed Kings lose in overtime from B Woolley. We'll have to pay attention to that in a little bit. Striatic here. I can never be too disappointed in a game where Sprong and Donato score, but the team needs to start winning again. Stat. Gotta go. Have a great stream. Thanks for stopping by, Striatic. Also with the stream, everyone there. Yeah, Striatic actually also was on Seattle Sasquatch, had a little live game stream going on. I was popped into the comment section a little bit earlier. It was a good stream. Just want to give them all a shout out. Ty, everybody knows, is in there. Brian, Joshua from our chats was in there with chat. Had a good time with everybody there. Brian, for those of you that would like to see more shots, yes, would also like to see puck possession that allows it. Too many passes. I agree, from Brian. That's what I'm saying. And that's part of it too, is like, I feel like so much of the Kraken's puck possession, like I would rather, instead of trying to transition and enter the offensive zone with speed, I would rather somebody enter, hold up, let the rest of the team move in, and then try to get a cycle going. Because I feel like for the most part this season, that's really where more Kraken goals have come from, rather than trying to win with speed. I just don't feel like that's ever been the Kraken's game.
No, I mean it really hasn't. And I mean in a game like this where the Canes are just gonna basically try and out puck possession you, the Kraken weren't able to get anything going because as soon as they had the puck on their stick, there was a Canes player ready to apply pressure. So the Canes kind of force you into trying to get things going with speed in transition, which is not the Kraken's game. I mean, it's a perfect game plan. And I
Mhm.
suppose in that way, you could say Seattle kind of matches up poorly against what Carolina tries to do. But at a certain point, you've got to, I think it was Pittsburgh last season that also had that similar kind of pressure against the Kraken in that first game there that just
Mhm.
forced Seattle into so many different mistakes. But you have to just, even if you have to buckle down and just take a bump from somebody, just try and possess the puck for a little bit longer, take a look and slow the game down that way.
Exactly. And if you are going to try to use speed coming through the neutral zone, have the player on the wing who's still, let them keep possession of the puck, dump it in, let the guy moving with speed go in and try to be the first guy in on the forecheck. Do a little bit of a jump and chase. That can work, especially with the lower lines. Like I feel like Ryan Donato has always been like this sneaky master, one of the most underrated guys in the NHL when it comes to trying to be that first guy into the zone to try to win that early puck battle to establish possession for his team. When you have somebody like a Ryan Donato or a Brandon Tanev, go ahead and try that instead of trying to do these, make the pass to the guy with speed who now has to, outskate someone through the neutral zone and then also try to split the defense going down the middle into the offensive zone. Just doesn't, I just don't know that the team's set up for it, I guess.
Yeah.
Tammy, possession is part of it, but there were plenty of examples where they need to shoot. We agree. I think everybody agrees with both of you on this one
Yeah.
here. Lights, I know I'll come off this quickly, but rough loss. Happy the team kept fighting. Hope adding in Tolvine will reinvigorate some underperformers, like how some speculated Wright did. Yeah, I mean that's going to be one. I've been talking about this. I feel like we're due a shakeup line wise. It made sense to wait until the end of the road trip. I think we're gonna really have to see something here before the next game, RJ.
Yeah, I would imagine we'd see at least one lineup change, and maybe Ellie Tolvanen coming to the lineup could be what that change is. It's tough, of course, with Donato and Sprong each playing well and scoring a goal in this last game, making a case that maybe they shouldn't be the ones taken out of the lineup. I'm trying to think who else it would be, if not the two of them.
Yeah, it's tough when you look at the based on just like usage, right? Because that's generally where you could look. Brandon Tanev on the lower end and Bjorkstrand on the lower end as far as time on ice. I really doubt they take out Bjorkstrand. I mean you can't take out Brandon Tanev, right?
No, right? So that's I just wonder who would come out for either of those two. Just given that Donato and Sprong would be the usual suspects, and each of the two of them scored. I don't know. They've still never been afraid to scratch Ryan Donato even after he's played a good game. So maybe that's who it'll be. But I'm definitely interested to see Tolvanen in person. So I'm excited for that practice just to get a read on him, but especially what he can do in a game.
Yep. From Aaron here, Kraken are 1-5 since they beat the Capitals in overtime. That wasn't mentioned before. We hadn't mentioned it yet, but yes, lost 5 of your last 6. That's a heck of a regression back towards the mean after a 7-game win streak, right, RJ?
Yeah, sure is. I mean, I think somebody mentioned this in a comment to us after the Kraken they had just lost their first one after their 7-game win streak. And that if you look at the schedule upcoming, they could lose 7 immediately after winning 7.
Mhm.
It's that tough of a stretch. And if you're not playing your absolute best game, you're not going to win against these teams. And so I think they're kind of playing out that tough stretch right now. But it is cause for concern, and they need to just start banking more points.
Yeah, and we talk about the next game being Winnipeg. Part of how Winnipeg's doing what they're doing right now, second in their division, 37 points through 28 games, outpacing the Kraken there, is Winnipeg doesn't allow goals. Like their defense and their goaltending is unbeatable right now. Only 75 goals allowed so far this season, which is best in their division, best in the Western Conference. This might be now Toronto has allowed fewer in the NHL, and New Jersey, but that's like it. Like talk about rough time for the offense to be finding themselves in this spot where they're struggling not only to score but just to even generate chances.
Yeah. And even that 1-5, 5 losses out of 6, it's bad. But if you can at least just have a couple of those be in overtime, then you can skate by in a stretch like this. Problem is, these are all coming in regulation.
Yeah, exactly. Rebecca, another night where I hope Gru steals the Davy Jones hat and sleeps with it like a baby. He deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. Let's see. Jones is another bad start from getting cut. Where's that coming from, Burnt? Where's that coming from? Jones didn't play tonight. Also, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yep.
Tammy, not the best reffing tonight. Reffing wasn't great for either team. They were really trying to call it as a close game. Like I felt like anything iffy, they were gonna let it slide. They called the big obvious stuff, but
Yeah, and I thought they were pretty consistent there. I mean,
yeah,
the notable, I thought, I mean, obviously most notable was that high stick that was just incorrectly called, but I don't think they were able to go review it. Although on
right.
first look, I was like, oh, that's his own guy's stick, and I just said that out loud watching the thing, and I'm like, oh, I guess not. They called the penalty, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But I was gonna say, it's we talk about the PK a lot. PK did its job tonight. The power play, like when was the last time we really saw the Kraken power play look like they were doing some good stuff, RJ? Like again, these offensive struggles, I feel like we haven't talked about them a lot, but it's starting to catch up to us here.
Yeah, it is. I'm going back and looking just the last time the Kraken scored a power play goal.
They had
It
one
must
of
have been
these
that
last
Panthers
couple
game.
games. Yeah, the Panther
Yeah,
game,
they were 1 for 6 in that Panthers
yeah,
game, so they got one there. Um,
but it wasn't
but
great. And that was off of
that's
that major.
yeah, that's true. So that's off the major. That is their only power play goal
This
dating
road
back
trip.
to. I'm already back at December 1st.
Ooh,
So that is their since December 1st, that Caps
yeah.
game. That's their only power play goal. So that's not good enough.
Yeah, and the power play, it just kind of looks a little aimless right now. Like they're not. Are they trying to set up the one timers for a Matty or for a Sprong on the other side? Like again, Vince Dunn, like try to get involved, make something happen, shoot the puck. Come on,
Yeah.
let's get Adam Larson in there. Something. Let's see. RJ and Edzo going to go at it about Gru's saves as a Kraken lol. From Joshua there. Shoot and get rebounds from Tammy. I don't like this month for games. Seattle is 0-3-1 versus the Jets. Can we go back to November from Daniel? I know. If
November
only.
was fun, wasn't it?
If only. See, our bud Edzo is constantly telling them to shoot. I think we all are. Like everybody's on
Yep.
the same page. Let's see. Blue Frost. Hopefully, Wright ends up NHL ready so we can get rid of Wenberg. Like, shoot, bro. I still think Wenberg provides a lot of value for the team.
But I will say I don't think that's something you're going to be able to change about him. The shying away from shooting the puck.
What is this organization 3 or 4 for Wenberg at this point? That's tried.
Let's see, Columbus,
3,
Florida.
Florida 3, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like there was one more in there, but those are the only two I can think of. Let's see. Yeah, Jen's not buying that they were shaken by the shutouts coming into this game. Team just didn't show up except for Gru. Kitty B. Kraken asking, do we know why Jones wasn't in goal tonight?
No, we do not. Although let me check Twitter to see if anyone has anything. Nope, nothing from the media there.
All right. Daniel with the go like the stream, y'all. Thank you very much for that, Daniel, from the support there. Joey, I think nothing would have changed this road trip. They got dominated, Washington, Tampa, and even against Carolina. We were lucky to be 1 goal down. Probably referring to when we were talking about having the 2 defensemen there. Yeah, it's just, I mean, we knew it was going to be a rough road trip. I thought the Kraken were in a better spot to handle it, but I guess not. It's just what we found out.
Yeah.
Brian, our 2 goals tonight: 1, blast from the point deflected; 2, a why not fling it. Oh look, goal, just shoot. It's true. I mean, that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. You score off rebounds, you score off deflections, you score off of just catching the goaltender sleeping sometimes. Like, that's just hockey. I feel like, again, that's something we've talked about going back into last season when they were struggling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that it is a central tenet of my hockey philosophy. You throw the puck at the net, good things happen. So
Yeah.
I'm always going to be on that side of it.
Yep. Let's see. Sergeant Pickles, hello all. I'm considering only doing studs and duds after wins. It's taking a mental toll to be clever after losses. No worries, Sergeant Pickles. You're all good. Um, Let's see, Hunter, maybe we jumped the gun on the team being legit. Now, this is an interesting thing to think about, RJ, because my gut reaction is to say no, because what we were seeing from the Kraken was very sound and solid hockey. They were working as a unit. There was lots of good things going on. I still think that this is more just an issue of they've gotten away from a lot of that, and they just need to find their way back rather than that stuff being, a mirage.
Yeah, and that's kind of was my first thought too, because I saw this kind of when he put it in chat a little bit earlier, and it gave me a little bit of time to think. As far as the team being legit, but my initial reaction was just like, well, no, I think they are legit, but I think just it's a tough stretch of games against good opponents, and I mean maybe that is one where you question, okay, well, how good are they, with the measuring stick against these other teams? But you look when they were playing their game, they could beat anyone. They beat
Mhm.
Vegas in that game that really
Mhm.
exemplified how they can play. They split. Basically, you had a game against Washington in the stretch that was a lot of the had a lot of the difficulties this losing stretch has had, and you had the earlier game against Washington, which was a banner game for them. It's just about basically playing their game.
Yeah. Do you remember how they scored goals in that Vegas game, RJ?
Let's see. I mean, going to the net. I remember there was one. They were like banging right away at it in front of
Yeah, that was
Aiden
the
Hill.
yeah.
Burakovsky sniping Aiden Hill a couple
Yes.
times as well.
Yeah, but even those, Burakovsky was able to get time and space in the offensive zone because of the work that the rest of the team was doing. They had a very clear game plan. They were very structured in the offensive zone. We saw it for one shift in that Lightning game, right? When
Yeah,
everybody was kind of all working together. I felt like we saw it maybe one time tonight where everybody was really all working together. You saw Carson Soucy slide in and was net front for a second there in this one. And it's just like, that's the stuff where I just feel like more so than the team not being for real prior, I just feel like they've gotten away from what it is that was working for them. Either that or other teams are just adjusting, and now it's on the Kraken to adjust to it, the adjustments, right? That's just the never-ending game in all of sports. Is that you have to constantly be evolving. You always got to be trying to stay ahead of what teams might be able to do, and so maybe the Kraken just need to work on that just a little bit. Blue Frost, hopefully we can stay in the playoff race. Would suck to bust her out of the playoffs. Kraken are doing just fine in that regard. Still, so got bumped by LA down into third in the division, but we still have 4 games in hand on the Kings, only 2 points behind them. Have games in hand on both Edmonton and Calgary as well, who are still behind us in the division. So again, you could survive having a rough road trip here, especially because it was only a 4-game road trip. Maybe if this was like a 7-game like
yeah,
ridiculous loop, it would be a lot worse. But I am finally getting to the point where it's like, okay, I need to see 2 points here. I need to see the team start to turn things around, start to play with a little bit more urgency.
yeah, exactly. They're still in a fine position, but you can't afford another stretch like this where you have 2 points out of your last 6 games.
Yep. Jen, I think we should just focus on the fact that Dylan and I will be in Coachella Valley on Sunday for the Firebirds home opener. I'm fine with that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Jen. Looking forward to nerding out over the Firebirds together. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. And then just being able to see the team, see the arena, all that fun stuff. And any of you who are going to be down there for it too, let me know ahead of time. Hopefully try to meet up with some people. I think that'll be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a great event for you too. And of course, I'll be up covering the Kraken game at the same time. So we'll have you covered from all angles.
Yep, it's going to be a busy day. It should be a lot of fun though. Valentina Nojin has been a sneaky good pick for my fantasy team. Unfortunately, he earned that first star tonight. What do you think of the penalty shot from him?
You know, I'm usually not in favor of walking in and taking a clapper there. I know Nick Olchek at Regression said he loves that, and knowing his style, I'm sure he does. Yeah, no, interesting decision from Nason there. Basically, it takes the goalie out of it. If you can hit that spot, it's a guaranteed goal, and that's why I felt bad for Grubauer, because as a goalie on that one, all you can do is just put yourself in position. And if the shooter hits that spot, it's over for you. And not a lot of guys can. And Stefan Nason is he's a bottom six kind of guy. But he was all over the puck tonight. I remember him from his time as a Shark, where he basically just kind of hung on to a fourth line spot. But he looked very good tonight for Carolina.
I was going to say that we've seen from him, particularly in his New Jersey days, him kind of be a sneaky good depth scorer for teams.
Right.
Like he is somebody who's been a journeyman who has always found a way to be noticeable wherever he may stop around the league. I thought well, this is also my question about it, because do you think he really took the full on slap shot there? Because I'm kind of with Edzo. I think he held up a little bit, or JT, I think it was actually. I think he held up a little bit, and then kind of got a little bit more accuracy and lift on that puck.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't come up all the way, and the follow through wasn't full power. And that's a good observation by JT. Not surprised in the slightest that he would see something like that. But yeah, I mean, and Nason too. You talk about a skill perspective. He was a first round pick in 2011. He was a first round pick, although he already has the second most points of any season in his career right now through 28 games. So good for him.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, because he fooled Grubauer with that the full windup. Grubauer goes down, left the top of the net exposed. So let's see. Hockey Fork, is Hacksaw trying to burn Grubauer? I don't think so. I mean, I think this is just a matter of, Martin Jones had to play a very, very long stretch of games and was clearly kind of burning out himself. And then Grubauer comes back. Grubauer looked good. Grubauer is definitely healthy and dialed in right now. I think whenever you have a situation like this, and I know you agree, you got to ride the hot hand. And right now that does look like Philip Grubauer.
For sure. And I mean, we kind of have to withhold judgment until we hear what the reason for the surprise start was tonight. It could be anything. But yeah, no, I'm not too concerned about that. Grubauer at the end of the day is still played less than 10 games this season. He should be all right.
Yeah. Rebecca Studs, the 21 people who liked the stream. Let's go.
There we
Thank
go.
you very much, Rebecca, for that. Let's see. Kings beat Boston 3-2 in the shootout. That's unfortunate there. They lost the first period, but they battled back from Duthin. Yeah, I mean, the first period was definitely, they were sleepy. They weren't totally there for it. Definitely looked better in the second period. And then really they came alive in that third period. I feel like getting that late goal, that Donato goal, I guess it wasn't totally late. It felt late. But getting that Donato goal, I felt like that was really important for them to feel like, hey, we can get back into this game. Because if you can enter that third period down 2 instead of 3, right? Get Carolina in that most dangerous lead in all hockey territory. Yeah. I felt like the Kraken were going to be in good shape, and sure enough, they were able to at least make it close there at the end.
Yeah, a game like that, especially when the goalie's on as long of a shutout streak as he is, it basically starts whenever you can get that first one and start the clock as far as clawing back.
Right. And let's see. I see Jay Free talking 17 shots. Come on, boys. Yeah, it was only 4 at the end of the first period. So 17 was kind of surprised we were able to end up that high after it all. Let's see. Kitty B Kraken, at least these road losses improve their home to road win percentage.
Oh man, that's a silver lining. That's a good one.
Just, exactly. Ty, let's see what they can address at home. Lots of opportunities to grow here. I agree. Let's talk about that, RJ. When we do our Patreon live game commentaries, like we did for that last game against Tampa. Again, thanks everybody for showing up for that one. We always like to be like, okay, you're Hackstall. What are you telling the guys during this intermission, right? That's one of the things we like to do. If you're Hackstall and you're going to be able to get in probably one practice here before this Winnipeg game, what are you choosing to focus on?
Special teams is one. I want to get some more power play work in. We talked about it just not really making a difference with one power play goal in the last 2 weeks. That's one that I would focus on. I'd also focus on breakouts, on getting out of your D zone and through the neutral zone clean and fast, because I felt like that was a big problem tonight against the Canes. And that's basically where it all started. When you can't get the puck and keep the puck, it usually starts in your own end, getting the puck out of danger and moving it through the neutral zone. If you can't do that cleanly, crisply, with speed, the other team's just going to be all over you and able to possess the puck themselves. So that's what I would work on. Number one, breakouts. Number two, special teams. How about you, Dylan?
Yeah, I would definitely do special teams. I think before we could even get to like breakouts, just got to be able to clear the zone, and that's in part, part of the special teams problem. Part of the PK problem is the Kraken are just incapable of ever clearing the zone, even on the PK where you have that opportunity just to completely rip it all the way down the ice. They really struggle with that. And I felt like that was a struggle for them again tonight. Like just get the puck into the neutral zone, get yourself a breather, let yourself regroup, get yourself to a point where you're not constantly chasing the play. And I will give the Kraken credit. I felt like they did work on that between the Lightning game on Tuesday and tonight's game against Carolina. The forwards were back checking more. The forwards were playing a lot deeper in the zone. They were helping out the defenders tonight in a way that they were not able to do against Tampa. So I do want to give the Kraken credit there, especially the forwards. I mean, Matty Beniers was all over the goal line for the Seattle Kraken tonight, right? Trying to keep guys pinned in down there if possible, trying to steal a puck there, and then move it up to his wingers up the ice if possible. So the Kraken were working on that, but at the end of the day, I mean, whenever you give these especially these good teams, and you're playing another one in Winnipeg on Sunday, whenever you give these good teams just extended zone time in your own zone, not only are you not going to be able to counterattack because you're going to have to go off on a change, but you're just delaying the inevitable at some point when it comes to offering them a grade A scoring chance. So I just want to see them be able to clear their zone, just get the puck out. Like that's all you got to do at some point. Try to keep it simple, and then we can build up to transitions and all that breakouts, all that stuff from there. All right. Brian, having not heard of an injury to Jones and seeing him during warmies, I wonder if Hack and Grubauer had a conversation today. Gru was not good versus Carolina and Seattle. Maybe he wanted to redeem himself?
Maybe. I mean, it was interesting though, because in warmups, at the end of warmups, Jones was there. When they have that drill where all the skaters just huddle around the net and try and all of them shoot on the goalie, just trying everyone versus the goalie, trying to get the puck in. That's usually one of the last drills they do, and it's always the backup who's in there. The starter will have headed off by then, and Jones was in there for that. So I don't think this was a decision made after warmups. So I mean, that would track. I'm really interested to see what the answer is here. I would have thought somebody would have tweeted by now about this, some of the media that was there, because I'm just not seeing it. I'm refreshing Twitter.
I was gonna say, like, has he even had his like post game presser? Has that like come out yet? I wonder.
I haven't seen any quotes or clips from it, which is interesting because we were quite a bit after the game. We're at 43-minute mark.
Right.
Usually it doesn't take that long, but maybe there's some kind of road game wrinkle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I could also see it being one where we're not necessarily going to know an answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could see that being the case here too as well. Or we might not know it until they get back to Seattle. We've seen that from this team in the past as well. Tammy, it didn't feel like we were sluggish even in the first, more that we just didn't have an answer for their pressure, if that makes sense. No, for sure. And that's been a struggle for the Kraken here, being down Jamie Alexiak, being down Justin Schultz. They've like I said, tonight, I felt like the Kraken did do a better job with that. The forwards helped out a little bit more than in that Tampa game. I do think that made a difference. But yeah, I just think it's a matter of not having necessarily the same level of poise and just really reps, experience, all that kind of stuff on the back end.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. Sorry, Ann.
Valentina Tolvanen won't play the next game. It's a weekend game coming off a terrible road trip. Jets are number 2 in their division. Blues are a Tuesday game against a number 6 in their division. That game is more suitable. It all depends on how he looks in that first practice, I would guess.
Yeah, I would think so too. I don't know that you're necessarily trying to shield him matchup wise. I think he just wants to get into a game, and you have to feel confident that he's learned enough systems wise to be on the same page as everybody. And I think that's what's going to determine it.
All right, so Brian here with the "I'm not hating, I'm critiquing" about his earlier comment here. Close your eyes and imagine Wenberg a healthy scratch. What is really missed?
You know,
You know, well, I'll say this: what you do miss is you do miss someone who is good at setting up his line mates, especially Burakovsky. We see that earlier in the season, and Wenberg is, at least right now, when the Kraken overall are struggling with it. I do feel like Wenberg has kind of been, and we saw it from him tonight, the only kind of consistent presence in the slot for them offensively. Like I don't
mhm.
like Maddie likes to kind of more circle the overall offensive zone. He's never really been a slot player, at least not yet in his NHL career. I don't, you're not getting that from Yanni Gord totally. Like you get that a little bit, but Gord's more of a straight to the net kind of player. I feel like with what you'd miss with Wenberg is you'd really have nobody in the slot anymore. You'd have nobody that kind of forces the defense to both defenders have to kind of stay close to their netminder. I do think that is a very valuable thing that Alexander Wenberg brings to this team and brings to the offense. It's just needs to shoot the puck. Like he
Yep.
gets himself. If you're going to sit in the slot, the best place in the world to score, you got to be willing to shoot the puck when you get it there. And that's, I think, just the only key piece that really all along in his career has kept him from blossoming maybe into that player that all of these teams along the road for him have thought he could be.
Yeah. Now, Brian, I do want to say I like this thought experiment because it's something I've kind of thought of myself, and it's a shame we just can't run experiments with every hockey player in every configuration possible. I think to see hack where someone made that comment, how great it would be if you could scientifically do that. But I do wonder with Wenberg, and this goes back to last season, how much you really lose out on by putting, say, a different player in that spot with those line mates with that ice time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any of the other Kraken centers. Well, aside from Matty Beniers, where I think he's just going to improve any line you put him on, but
Right.
that's not really in the cards. And then Yanni Gord, I in that spot, I just don't think the chemistry is there. Stylistically doesn't work. You put Morgan Geekie there, and I do think you lose something as far as what Wenberg brings, in the scoring aspect versus Geekie. Shane Wright, maybe we should, maybe best not to go there right now. But it would be interesting to see kind of maybe plugging and playing whoever else. But I just don't know if the Kraken have anyone right now that would be an upgrade in that spot.
Right. And, lots of rumors going around about the Kraken maybe being interested in a center, particularly just to help with the face-off struggles that they've had this season, even though that might just prove to be the ultimate undoing of the Kraken winning face-offs. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But I mean, this is something going back to draft night when we knew we got Shane Wright, where it was like, okay, let's look, 2 years from now, what's going on? Because, Maddie and Shane Wright are going to be your top 2 centers. And one of the questions was, well, what happens to Wenberg at that point? Or really it was like looking ahead to not this year, but the following season. But the bottom line is Wenberg has 2 years left on his contract. I doubt he would re-sign with the Kraken after that, just because Shane Wright will have been at that point in the place where he can take that step into being your second line center. Maddie will be your first line center. And I do think that it is a little bit of an issue. I agree with you. He's kind of this tweener, right? Like he's a good middle 6 center, but maybe one that you'd rather have be towards the bottom end of that middle 6, right? More of a third line guy. But the bottom line is offensively, I just think he provides more value than but certainly Morgan Geekie or Yanni Gord, to be perfectly honest. Like he is right now, after Maddie, their most valuable offensive center. Whether he wants to shoot the puck or not, that's just where he's at.
Yeah.
He
Now,
is
real quick,
skilled.
Dylan, I see a comment here at the bottom from Tammy. And I want to just keep it on the same topic while we have it. I believe you, but can you explain more about why Gord and Berkey don't work together?
Well, I just think stylistically they're very different. Andre Burakovsky, generally when we see him work well in the offensive zone, it's more so when he has time and space and he can set up in that the spot where he scored, like in the Vegas game, if you remember that goal, or either of those goals. I think he scored 2 in that one. He likes to set up and just have the ability to have the puck sent over to him and take a shot, take a wrist shot, or have the puck played up to him while he's along the boards. Then he can cut to the middle, take a shot off. Yanni Gord isn't really that kind of center. Yanni Gord, like I said, he's I'm going to go straight to the net and I'm just going to try to create a little bit of chaos there. The difference between that and what Wenberg does, setting up more in the slot, is when a player is going to commit to going to the net the way Yanni Gord does, only one defender then has to deal with him, because it's just going to be one defender posted up against Yanni Gord, and they're just going to be pushing and shoving each other around a lot there. I feel like Wenberg, because he isn't trying to be a physical presence net front, he's more of just an overall danger by being in that general area. He keeps both defenders in a little bit closer, means that takes one defender away from being able to step up and get into Burakovsky's preferred shooting lane. Whereas if Yanni Gord was out there, one, I don't think Yanni Gord's going to distribute him the puck in the same way that Burakovsky would want it, or seems to prefer it, I should say. I don't know, specifically what he likes and doesn't like. What he seems to prefer. And also, I don't think Yanni Gord provides him the same kind of cushion of having that time and space where he can really load up that deadly wrist shot that he has and get it off. That's my kind of thought process around that. I don't know if you have more you want to talk about.
No, I mean, I think you covered it pretty well. I think also, one of the other things Yanni likes to do is go battle in the corners for pucks, and he's going to support the wingers on the forecheck. And but that's not going to necessarily, open up those pucks for Burakovsky to come and take them and get and cut to the middle there. It clashes.
Yeah. Sasquatch NHL, hey guys, tough road trip, but hoping they can get back to some consistency at home. Really feels like a critical juncture the season is about to play out. Ooh, I like the way you phrased that one there,
Yeah.
Sasquatch. Very much agree. Great post-game stream as always. Thank you. And again, I had a fun time kind of spending the second period in your stream as well. Just to give you the shout outs. This is going to be an interesting time for the Kraken. It really does feel that way. Let's see here. I think being down 2 defensemen was the proverbial straw from Tammy. I agree with that. Emmy, I'm looking forward to the day we have our defensive prospects on the roster. I feel like that'll boost us so much compared to now. I do feel like when you look at what they have in a Riker Evans or a Ty Nelson, RJ, that those kinds of players, they do provide a little something that the Kraken are missing right now on the back end in those breakouts, right? Like they're guys that can either skate the puck up themselves and make a move and gain the zone, or make a good read, make a nice pass. And I do feel like the Kraken right now kind of missing that a little, because again, Vince Dunn just never really seems like he's turning into that the way we think he will.
It doesn't. And Justin Schultz has done so much this season to alleviate that pressure on Vince Dunn and to get those clean breakouts. They miss him so much right now.
Right. And I'm not trying to put down Vince Dunn, because I feel like Vince Dunn is having his best defensive season ever this year. Like he has really clearly worked hard on defense. I think him and Larson must be talking about a lot of stuff behind the scenes each and every day, because Vince Dunn has really turned himself into a very, very good defender, especially around the net, for a guy that you don't think of as being this big physical guy. He's very good at maintaining like inside body position. He's very good at taking away opponents' sticks in tight there. But I just feel like, all along we've had this idea of him being this offensive weapon from the blue line. And I think after a year and a half now, we kind of got to start changing our perception of Vince Dunn.
Yeah, agreed. And let me tell you, Dylan, I can confirm he's learning a lot from Adam Larson. I had the privilege to hear some conversation with the two of them, and it was for like somebody else's piece, some questions being asked, so I can't get too much into the details of it. But let's just say that the master has definitely taken the student under his wing defensively.
Okay, let's go. Glad to hear it. Jeremiah, hey boys, hope all is well. Tough game. Canes are a wagon. Nice to hear from you, Jeremiah. Hope everything's going well with you as well. SJ, the more I watch this team, the more they look like a quick first round out. Maybe that's fine for this year, though. It's progress, and there are good things coming. Again, beginning of the year, all we wanted was to be in contention for the playoffs, and that's I still don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yep.
Let's see. Valentina, why didn't anyone tell me about the Coachella field trip? Would have loved to go. I don't know. We've been talking about it. Could have done more of the podcast, maybe. Let's see. Got that bot taken care of. Had to watch playback for the third, so just getting here. First period was rough. Second and third were better. Grubauer played out of his freaking mind. Great job on the PKs tonight. Defense showing up for the second one on Larson Olofsson plays were so good. That's all from Gary there. Good to hear from you, Gary. Kind of recapping everything that we talked about. We did talk about the PK doing well. Obviously, Grubauer has definitely been a story from this one. I did feel like Olofsson had a much better game tonight, settled into the lineup, as you would expect, right? Not getting thrown in after like a day's notice, coming off of all that travel to get up there. Light, just a question as a new fan that has a hard time gauging defensemen. How good is Riker Evans? I can see he leads the D-men by points, but I know that there is more to that, and I wonder when we will see him. So we've been talking about this a little bit lately, RJ. Riker Evans feels like, if we were to see him at the NHL level, it'll be later on in the season, maybe, February or later is probably the time frame to do that, just to get him as much seasoning in the AHL. But it looked like you were going to say something, so I didn't want to.
Oh, I was just going to start by saying, Light, fear not. People who have been following hockey their whole lives have a hard time gauging D-men. It's something that's just inherently very difficult to do. So I just want to start with that.
It is. There's so many things you could try to focus on. Is like, is it their skating? Because I can teach them something else. Is it their ability to shoot the puck or manage the puck from the blue line? Is it just their size? Right? Like that's always a big thing. Everybody kind of has a different philosophy of what goes into it. So it's definitely up there. Maybe not quite as like a mystic art as like trying to gauge goaltending, scout goaltending. That is still something that is very much arcane. But yeah, defenseman, you can just look at draft histories. You can see it's a struggle for everybody involved. As for Riker, Riker is a very good puck mover. He's very good at seeing the offensive zone. He is a power play quarterback. I didn't get to watch too much of him in junior last season. And obviously this year, I haven't really seen anything. That's one of the reasons why I'm really pumped for Sunday is I can finally get to see Riker Evans in person. I feel like Riker Evans, though, is very much in a stage of his development just based on development camp and what I saw from him there, where he is very much in full-on sponge mode of just trying to soak up as much knowledge about the professional game now that he's not in junior anymore, about how to use his size, how to skate when everybody's a little bit faster and you can't maybe get away with the same stuff anymore now that you're at a pro level. And I feel like he's in the perfect spot for that. We saw that at development camp, him working with those coaches, him working with Jess Campbell, he was able to immediately start making improvements with what she was instructing him on. And so I feel like he's in that stage of his development where he is good and he has a lot of potential, but he's still got to kind of learn all those nuances and the ins and outs.
Yeah, and that's what he has been working on. And I thankfully have got to see him in 3 games when the Firebirds were up in Seattle in that area. Got to watch him very closely there, and I liked a lot of the habits that he seemed to be picking up playing in the AHL. And because he's picking that stuff up, because he's learning, I think they want to keep him in that environment, which is honestly best for him. I even got the chance to talk to him after one of the Firebirds games up here in Seattle, and he talked about how great the coaching staff has been trying to teach him those habits and basically just trying to get that into his muscle memory, into the way that he thinks, and that's really the key for him right now.
Yep. All right. Going to go rapid fire here towards the end of the chat and the end of the post game live. Edward, is it weird that our AHL team is better fire themed than Calgary's? It is a little weird. I like it though.
I'll take it though. Yeah.
Yeah. Ours is absolutely dope. SJ, I hear Bo Horvat is on the trade block. I like Bo Horvat. I think he provides a lot. He's a sneaky good scorer in addition to the two-way play that he has. But if you're going to have to pay an in-division tax and potentially a rival tax on what it would take to acquire him, I don't think it would be the smartest move for the Kraken.
Yep. No, given the full situation, what you'd have to give up, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Let's see. If Gordon Berkey doesn't work, will that lead to a change on the line? Perhaps Shane Wright. I mean, that's going to be a little bit ways away. And I mean, they're not playing together right now. So
I don't think they'd really attempt that.
Yeah. Straight up just ain't our night in Seattle sports land, is it? From Sergeant
I have not
Pickles.
checked the football games, so that's not a good sign.
I was going to say that might tell us what we need to know there. This time last year, I thought Dunn had the most upside of any Kraken player from Valentina. I think a lot of us thought that. A lot of people were in that boat. Like I said, and he has definitely gotten better. It's not like he like completely stalled out or anything. He's just gotten better defensively in a way, we thought he would get better offensively. It's totally fine as long as you're getting better. Got our Matty B. Need to find our Cale McCarr from CR Bud. Boy, I think there's 31 franchises out there that would love to find their Cale McCarr. Rebecca Adam Larson cloning himself here for it. Tammy, thoughts on Bjorkstrand? I expected more from him. Not sure what's going on with him, but hopefully he finally finds his rhythm. I think that he just got thrown off by that early season scoring slump, and he kind of tumbled down the lineup. And then it's been hard, at least up until maybe now, with the way the team overall had been playing, to work your way back up.
Yep, and I think we could start to see some more opportunity for him now, is with the team in a bit of a slump. Have give him a chance basically to be the spark in turning things around.
Yeah. Seahawks defense regressing to the mean as well from Edwards. So now we definitely know how that football game's going. Most important question of the night: will there be another Kraken hockey stocking giveaway from Mama Eskinos? And Joshua pointed out it is Mama Travers, and he said no, I get the only one. Lol, from Joshua there. I do think that we have something there. We should be, I guess, announcing soonish, right?
Soonish.
Soonish, just giving that the timing of it all. Let's see here. Rebecca, watching defensive players is one of the best parts of seeing a game live. Makes me crazy trying to track a player on TV when they're off camera half the time. Lol. Totally agree. That is absolutely why I prefer being in person, Rebecca, is you get to zero in on one player, get to zero in on seeing how an overall play develops, because the frame just can't always capture it.
Yep, and the Kraken press bridge is the perfect vantage point for all that.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for the CCH postgame live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. Tough loss, but coming home, get a day to work on some things, get an extra day of practice in there, and I'm still optimistic, RJ.
Me too. I'm still feeling good about things in general. And if you'll allow me, I kind of want to promo an event for Queen Anne Beer Hall.
Yep.
So I'm sure a lot of you have probably been watching the World Cup. Well, it's down to the final game of the World Cup. That will be on Sunday, December 18th. So it's coming up soon. And it's very early. I believe the game starts at 7 a.m. But Queen Anne Beer Hall is going to be open. It's going to be rocking for the World Cup final. Doors open at 6:30 a.m. So if you're going to get up early, if you're going to watch that game, why not do it at Queen Anne Beer Hall? They're going to have food. They're going to have drinks. It's all going to be ready. They got a great menu. They'll have a selection of breakfast burritos for sale starting at 6:30 a.m. So no better place to watch that game. Root for France, root for Argentina, whoever your pick is in that game. But go check it out at Queen Anne Beer Hall.
I was just going to say, RJ, who's your pick?
I think France is going to take it.
I do too. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for this one, and we will see you all next time.